Will CJ Stroud have a big performance in Pittsburgh this weekend to bring the Texans to their third straight divisional game? We discuss, plus get into the rest of the wild card weekend games on today's episode of Locked On Fantasy Football.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Fantasy Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcasting network. I'm one of your co-hosts, Michelle Magdziuk, and when I'm not doing this, I'm a researcher and fantasy analyst with NFL Network.
And I'm your other co-host, Vinnie Iyer. When I'm not doing this, I'm writing about NFL fantasy and betting for sportingnews.com.
Today is Crossover Thursday on the network, and Crossover Thursday is presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Today, we're going to go through 3 of the wild card games that we did not go through yesterday. So we have the Steelers against the Texans, the 49ers against the Eagles, and the Chargers against the Patriots. The other 3 games, if you want us, you want to hear us talking through those games and who we think will have big performances and who will win, you can go listen to yesterday's episode if you missed that. Let's start with the Texans at the Steelers. I clearly have a bias here. I am a big Steelers fan. I live in Houston, so this is going to be a very, very interesting game to watch out with, a bunch of Texans fans. But Vinny, I want to know your thoughts on this game. I mean, this is going to be a hard matchup, I think, for either quarterback. Stroud going on the road in Pittsburgh, cold weather. It's never easy to play there. And then Aaron Rodgers against this Texans, insanely good defense. Who would you put more trust in to put into like a DFS lineup, or who do you think will have the bigger game overall?
Yeah, on paper, it should say CJ Stroud has the better game. I mean, the Steelers' defense has had some lapses in pass coverage this year, and we know the Texans have been lights out, but there's some doubt a little bit about that Texans defense when you look at their recent performances against kind of aggressive quarterbacks, Jacoby Brissett and Riley Leonard. They were throwing the ball downfield on them quite a bit. That's not saying Aaron Rodgers is going to go gangbusters and just do something that no quarterback has done against the Texans defense. He can have a solid game. I think he's going to have to put it up, but I don't know if he can get multiple touchdowns in this game. It's going to be a struggle. I think this is meant to be the lowest scoring game of the week for a reason. The over-under is below 40 points in this one. So I don't want to invest too much on this, but if you're playing only the Monday night game right by itself and you're looking at this game, I think Rodgers might be the better value, but CJ Stroud should have the better game overall. I don't think it's going to be great for Stroud either. He'll be solid, but keep in mind the Texans really struggle in the red zone. It's one of the worst red zone teams. That's why Kenneth Fairbairn had 44 field goals to tie an NFL record. So that's where the Steelers could win situationally in this game. So if I'm looking for the touchdowns, I might lean on the Steelers side for that in terms of the value with Rodgers. But again, Stroud, I think, should be solid. I don't see a spectacular game from either quarterback.
Yeah, if you're playing Prize Picks or anything like that, and you want to put in a player projection, it might be just going with the kickers for this game, right? Because they have like combo.
Or less.
They have the combo kicking yards that you can do between Boswell and Fairbairn, or you could do how many field goals you think they'll make. But I could see this being like an 18-15 game where it's all field goals. Yeah, so I don't really like either of these quarterbacks either. Stroud definitely has the easier matchup, but I'm trying to stay away from those guys. But do you think either of their wide receiver ones can get it done? And maybe it won't be a bunch of touchdowns, but can they get yardage? Nico Collins, he got the rest week 18. He hasn't had 60 yards in either of the last 2 games, but had a lot of big games there in a row in the middle of that season. DK Metcalf missed the last 2 games with a suspension, but the Steelers have really been missing him, and he's been getting a lot of, he had at least 9 targets in 2 of the last 3 games. So 12 targets in week 14, 9 and 6 in week 16. But Stingley could be on him. I will say Metcalf shows up for the playoffs, though. That boy knows how to ball out in big moments. I think both are playable. Obviously, though, you don't want to pay up, though, for Metcalf because of the defense.
Yeah, I'd say there's one thing that could help Metcalf in this game is based on the alignment of the Texans defense. He could see a lot of Kamari Lassiter, which would be a big break. He could burn him downfield. And I've said that the Texans' weakness is now in downfield coverage. And it's not just downfield coverage, it's just breaking down. If a quarterback can extend a play a little bit, and Rodgers can do that, they're going to have enough time to throw downfield and see something develop. So I think you'll probably see Lassiter for a good portion of this game. And that's definitely a burnable matchup. And they're going to be excited to get it back. Mike Tomlin was giddy to have him back, still make the playoffs despite not having him in the last 2 games. So they're going to grease the wheel that's been out of the lineup, and they need him. You saw what happened. They had to rely on big plays to Pat Freiermuth and Adam Thielen to really come through with Marquez Valdes-Scantling not doing much. If DK Metcalf was MVS or however you want to look at it, they score that touchdown against the Browns to win. They make that play that they just missed because DK is going to get that ball. So all the good stuff is going to happen here with Metcalf. So the other thing is I think it's going to be very singular for both of these teams. You look at Collins and Metcalf, they're going to trust their go-to guys as much as possible. No offense to the other people. I mean, maybe an offense to Calvin Austin, who's not doing much, but the other Texans receivers are rookies, right? I mean, you're looking at Higgins and Newell. Are they going to really come through? They're going to go for their veterans, the guys that come through. So Collins and Metcalf could have very similar games in this one using their veteran savvy and playoff experience.
Yeah, I still think Higgins can come down with, a big play, but that's really what you depend on with him. He has 2 receptions over the last 2 games. I mean, over the last 4 games, so the last month, he has a total of 6 receptions. However, the last 2 weeks, he came through with a big touchdown in both of those. So he could still do that against the Steelers defense, but that's what you're hoping for. And it's really not that high of a ceiling, even if he does get that big touchdown. Now, Dalton Schultz, I think, is playable as well against the Steelers defense. He's been involved. He's kind of the second go-to guy for Stroud. So I think he'll be involved. He's a play. You're not playing anyone on the Steelers tight ends. Maybe Freiermuth can catch a touchdown. But I'm not playing with that. But let's look at these running backs because Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell have both been very solid fantasy assets this season. Overall in the season, Jalen Warren was better than Gainwell, but since week 11, Gainwell has been on fire, averaging 15 points per game and half PPR, with a couple stinkers in there against the Bills in week 13 when they got blown out, and then against the at Cleveland. But the rest of the games have been really great. He's getting so many targets, so many receptions, even when DK was there. So I prefer the Gainwell side of this, especially because the Texans defense overall, you can run on them slightly, but I just think Gainwell is a better fit to utilize. And if the Steelers want to win this game, Gainwell has to have a big game.
Yeah, they talked about a little bit on the broadcast on Sunday Night Football, but Warren has kind of slid into a better version of Najee Harris being effective as kind of the power runner. So a lot of the receiving mojo and the red zone stuff that he used to get is going to Gainwell. So this is a tough one for me. I think you look at the Texans, you saw them against Jonathan Taylor, I think, and they totally shut him down. So between the tackles, traditionally, they could slow down Warren here. So I think Gainwell has to be used. They kind of have to manufacture things, right? I think a big reason also why Gainwell has been an effective asset all throughout is because they don't have a lot in the receiving corps. So they need Gainwell to kind of be used as that extra weapon here. And we know that Aaron Rodgers trusts him a lot, even though last game they had an issue with him. They came back and he got the ball at the goal line and scored. So they really trust him. Rodgers likes him in that type of back role. We've seen it before with Rodgers. So, yeah, I think it's going to be better off for Gainwell. Just not the traditional pound it between the tackles, trying to run an approach is not going to work on the Texans.
Now, I agree with you. So I like the Gainwell side. I think he'll get the receptions. Woody Marks, I'm off. He can get the carries. He's getting the work. It's not turning into fantasy points. And the Steelers, they can allow some big plays, but overall they've been pretty good at keeping fantasy running backs from scoring too much. Now, the Texans are 3-point favorites on the road. Are you taking that, or do you think the Steelers will win outright?
I'm going with the Steelers. Here's why. I mean, I talked about the 23-game winning streak they have in primetime at home. Look, the NFL script writers know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're putting them at home. They want Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in the next round of the playoffs. They know where the bread is buttered. Sorry, no offense to the Texans and Houston fans down there. By the way, good luck to surviving if the Steelers win and being around Texans fans on Monday night. They'll hate you, but that's okay, because I think, again, the NFL loves Aaron Rodgers. We know they put him with Joe Buck, his favorite announcer as well. So all this thing lines up for the Steelers' victory. And look, that 39.5, even though it's small, I do not feel like this game's going to have a lot of points. Both of these teams kind of score in the middle range, like the 20 points. So it's right there. It teeters there, but I'm going to take the under in this one to be safe.
Yeah, I mean, 2017 seems like that'd be pretty high scoring for these two teams together. So, and that's still only 37 points. So I'm with you with the under, and I'm going to take the Steelers. Maybe I'm biased, but I actually have a very good feeling about them this week to win their first playoff game since 2016. We're going to move on to another team I really like. So this is just a full podcast of my biases, or however you say it. But 49ers at the Eagles. It's a tough draw for the 49ers. I will say that. We'll get into our fantasy predictions for these two teams right after a quick break.
All right, this episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by Rocket Money. Let's be real, managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Really, that's the thing that you've seen on the ads on TV, just trying to figure out where your money is going, the subscriptions, things that you forgot about, and just lets you figure out how to cancel them just in a few steps there. So it's really simple to use. The automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. You can finally see exactly where your money is going each month and make adjustments to save more. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. This episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, and it is a great time to get in the action. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get into the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts so you can apply to the bets you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. Boost gives you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet on something new. Every play feels bigger. The boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost and go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, Michelle, it is time to continue the show. But before then, you have an important message for all our loyal listeners here.
Yeah, you're already with us every day. So now it's time to take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club and get locked on fantasy football. No interruptions, so you don't have to listen to the ads. You get members-only Discord access and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonfantasyfootball.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, let's get into this 49ers against the Eagles. 49ers will travel to Philadelphia, and the weather is expected to be pretty rough. I mean, it is Philadelphia in January, so that makes sense. So for me, in terms of the matchup, in terms of the weather, and you're looking at these two quarterbacks, I know Purdy has had a lot of good games lately. It has to be the Jalen Hurts side, right? That you feel more comfortable that he'll put up bigger fantasy numbers there. So if I had to go with a quarterback, I think Jalen Hurts is actually a pretty good play. 49ers defense is very suspect. And with it being at home and bad weather, like Purdy's typically not a very great quarterback in weather conditions.
Yeah, I think the 49ers would have a win. They're nodding back to the NFC Championship game. They'll be happy Brock Purdy just as healthy throughout the entire game. That's a good start against the Eagles. That'll be helpful. But I think they're going to have to lean more on the running game and Christian McCaffrey and getting the ball out of Purdy's hands more quickly. The middle of the field is going to be tough to use there with Cooper DeJean roaming and looking for those interceptions from Brock Purdy. So I think, you got to go with Jalen Hurts. The 49ers pass defense is beat up. Even their linebacker that's filling in for Fred Warner, Tatum Bethune, is hurt. So that's a guy that has been key in coverage at times, but they really can be roasted on the back end here with their corners. Renardo standing out here. I'm sorry, Renardo Green, I should say, as a guy that you can look at as someone you can exploit there. So when I look at this situation, I think it's a really good matchup for the Eagles passing game. Now the question is Nick Sirianni and Brian Patullo, will they see that and go after it? Let's hope so. I mean, if they cannot see this based on the numbers, based on the injuries, they got to be silly in this one. So I think they're going to have to come out throwing a little bit more with Jalen Hurts because the 49ers can be solid against the run. They have had some leaks there as well because of their injuries, but I'm not going to come out and pound Saquon Barkley in this game to try to win. I think they need to open it up first. Downfield, A.J. Brown is a really good matchup. Devonta Smith, you can get downfield. Dallas Goedert also has a really good matchup. So you got to get aggressive passing if the Eagles are not only going to put up better fantasy numbers, but also win this game.
Yeah, I see that as well. With A.J. Brown, I like him this week. Devonta Smith's too all over the place, doesn't get consistent enough targets or workload. So I'm going to stay away from that. But Kittle, or not Kittle, well, obviously Kittle you're going to love, even though it's a very hard matchup against this Eagles defense. But still, Kittle's a different type of player. You're not going to be worried about him. But Goddard and A.J. Brown, I really like for the Eagles with Hurts. And I think Christian McCaffrey, if the 49ers want to win this game, they got to feed him. They have to feed him like crazy. Jalen Carter does look like he's going to be back. So that's kind of unfortunate for like the outlook of the 49ers run success. Also, we have to see if Trent Williams will return as well. But the targets should be there for Christian McCaffrey as 8, 6, and 7 targets the last 3 weeks. So Christian McCaffrey should be fantastic with Kittle, Goddard, and A.J. Brown. Now, can you play either of Ricky Pearsall or Jawan Jennings in this matchup? The Eagles have allowed the 6th fewest points to wide receivers this year. Pearsall, if he does play, he's coming off a re-aggravated knee injury. Who knows if he can make it through the whole game? Jennings, I mean, overall, besides this game against the Seahawks, he has been pretty much on fire with touchdowns, especially. So are you trusting Jennings or Pearsall?
I don't think I can go with Pearsall, but I could look at Jennings. I mean, he still is the key go-to guy for Purdy. He'll avoid the tougher matchup in this one. So they can go after it a little bit with him for sure. I think they're going to have to count on him and hope for some big plays again. That George Kittle can still be good in games against tougher tight end coverage, but that is that fact in this game that the Eagles will be wary of and will also put some effort into stopping him. So I think you definitely have to look at Jennings. A lot of stuff opens up because you're so worried about McCaffrey and Kittle. That's why Jennings often can come through all the way through the red zone because of the attention those guys get. So, yeah, I think McCaffrey out of the backfield will be their best asset in the passing game. Not a surprise here in this one. And the running game, look, it may be a little bit limited, but you look at the Eagles, they haven't given up some big games. Jalen Carter does make a difference here or there, but you can run on them if you kind of get some momentum downhill. And really the key to all that is Trent Williams. If they don't have him, it's going to be a lot harder to run the ball in this game.
Yeah, the Trent Williams is going to be key here. The 49ers are 1-9 in games that Trent Williams has not played since 2023. So that's not great. And the Eagles are getting back Lane Johnson, who's been a key part of them winning as well. So huge get for the Eagles, and it could be a huge loss for the 49ers. Now, who will win this game? Eagles are 4.5-point favorites. Are you taking that line?
I'm actually taking the 49ers here. They're going to play tough. They're going to be on the road. And look, they won all these games for a reason. I know their schedule was favorable, but they also fought through injuries to win some of these games when they weren't even at their best. And, the Eagles have tended to underachieve a little bit and play down or play even to their competition, especially at home. So I think that number is too big. I actually liked it even at 3.5 there for the 49ers to stay within a field goal. So Yeah, I think it's a field goal game. It may not feel like that in the end, like the Eagles might control the game and go in that direction, but I think the 49ers are just too competitive and too prideful of a team and a very good road team with Kyle Shanahan to say that they're going to roll over this one, especially with their Eagles maybe getting in their own way a little bit in this one.
Yeah, the Eagles have been all over the place. I definitely like the 49ers plus 4.5 points because I'm with you. I think this could be a field goal game either way for sure. Now, the over under 44.5, I'm taking the over. I mean, the 49ers can put up points and so can the Eagles. Like I could see this being a 27-24 game. I don't know if that gets us to, yeah, it does. It does get us over 44.5, but yeah, I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I'm barely taking the under in this one. I had 23-20 is the final, so I'm looking for an uglier game. Maybe the weather will play a factor in this one as well. But yeah, it's an exciting game on paper, but I'm afraid it might disappoint us in terms of the excitement level just because of the elements and the defensive efforts that you're going to see for both teams. But I'm excited for it. I think, again, anytime the 49ers and Eagles play, these two teams have been pretty much toggling as the NFC Championship teams here for a while. So it's exciting to see them both play, but I think the Eagles probably edge them out in this game.
I'm going to go with the 49ers because I have to. But we have one more game to get through. Chargers at the Patriots. This one is truly, truly a coin flip for me. We'll get to it right after a quick break. Hey guys, the draft pick positions are set and so many teams are looking for their franchise quarterback. Have you ever wished to become a pro quarterback, getting drafted first overall by your favorite team? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate Quarterback Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number one draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. This is the number one quarterback career mode game on the mobile app stores, and it introduces the most realistic environment with full career control. You sign contracts, you train and upgrade yourself, build chemistry, and evolve your teammates. Give input to your GM on roster moves, play the actual games in 2D, and rise through the ranks to become a pro football legend. You get to deal with the ups and downs of a quarterback career, from rookie nerves to playoff drama, and every choice shapes your journey. Ultimate Quarterback is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a game or two on the go. Just head over to ultimate-quarterback.com. That's ultimate-quarterback.com, or search for Ultimate Quarterback in your app store. And we got something special for you guys. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, all caps, in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate Quarterback, Football Legend Quarterback 1. It's your legacy. All right, last game we got to get to. It's the Chargers at the Patriots, and I really don't know what to expect with this game because the Patriots, do you know that the Patriots have the same amount of wins against winning teams this year, against teams that had a winning record this year, as the Raiders? They both have one. They both have one win against winning.
And the Raiders beat the Patriots.
Yeah, exactly. That's their one win. Yeah, but I find that stat insane. So we don't know, right, how they'll perform in this tough matchup, especially Drake Maye in his first playoff game. And this is a hard defense, passing defense for Drake Maye to go against. The Chargers are very good pass defense. And in terms of fantasy points, they've allowed the second fewest points to quarterbacks this year. But Herbert has not been a very good fantasy quarterback this year. Maye's been much better. So who would you rather trust in this game to have the bigger production, Herbert or Maye?
I've seen Justin Herbert play in the playoffs, and it's been atrocious. Mm-hmm. So I cannot go back there. I mean, there are two different circumstances he played in. We've seen it with Jim Harbaugh. I thought they were going to go into Houston and win last year, and then it was all him. He melted down with 4 interceptions in that game, and his offensive line is beat up. And this Patriots pass rush, look, Harold Landry is their best dude up front, but I think they can get after him in this game. So I'm actually not feeling Justin Herbert at all here. Drake Maye is going to get it done in different ways, right? He's gotten it done with his arm, his legs. He's going to compile and get the points he needs. He's at home. The Patriots, look, I know it's a different era with Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, but they're usually very good at this stage of the playoffs, like wild card divisional rounds. I mean, it's usually not been a problem, especially when they face lesser teams. And I think the Chargers are definitely a lesser team. They've been limping into the playoffs. They didn't get tuned last week when they probably should have. The Patriots are still playing for something. So I think that equal, like, the rust versus rest thing, I think it's going to favor the Patriots having less rust and just being a little bit more motivated. They don't want to be one and done here as the number 2 seed. So I think I do like Drake Maye. Again, I cannot trust Justin Herbert. I've seen him with 2 different coaches, 2 different eras. One time they could not try to beat a team at all. First time they blew a 27-0 lead. So I've seen both sides of the coin with Herbert, and it's not been pretty, and not with this offensive line crumbling.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be nerve-wracking. I think it's nerve-wracking to play either of these guys, but it could also be a high-scoring game. Like, I could see this game going either way, super low-scoring or super high-scoring. But I do think a key for the Chargers would be to have a Marion Hampton, who missed practice on yesterday. He's dealing with this ankle injury. He needs to play, right? We got to keep an eye on that. But they do have Kamani Vidal, who has stepped up for Hampton when he's been out. It's been up and down with him, but the Patriots have been allowing a lot of rushing yards. So I'm going to just take out week 18 because the Dolphins barely played anybody. Achane didn't play, but weeks 10 through 17, the Patriots have allowed 141 rushing yards per game, over 5 yards per carry, and 8 rushing touchdowns over those 7 games. So they can be run on, and I think that will be key for this Chargers team to win. Now, what about the other side, though, with the Patriots? I mean, it's been the Stevenson show the last couple weeks, with Henderson still getting his last week, but can you trust either of these guys to get the workload and to put up big production?
Yeah, I was taking a look at some of the Chargers opponents this year. They really struggle with big running backs like Devin Achane and those type of players who can explode for 30, 40, 50 yards. I think that would say you feel a little bit better about TreVeyon Henderson being a game changer in that aspect. Like, again, it goes back to what we were saying at the Steelers-Texans game, where you're not going to just pound in the middle of the field in the playoffs and feel really good about it. That's an old school approach, right? It doesn't work anymore. You have to be a little bit more dynamic with your running backs, and Henderson is that dynamic back that I would get in. I think they've been kind of being careful with him. Stevenson looked down the stretch. They knew they could be effective with him, but Henderson is their home run hitter. He can be their game changer, and the Chargers have allowed a lot of those type of home run type plays there out of the backfield. So I think they'll try to use Henderson's speed as much as possible. Stevenson can also do it, but I think he might be a little bit more touchdown dependent in this game. So I'm feeling Henderson having one of those big runs, 30 to 40 yards somewhere, and helping his numbers, and probably finding the end zone on that run.
Well, that would be great. Now, with the wide receivers, it's really Stefon Diggs on the Patriots side that you can consider. 2 big games there in week 16 and 17 before coming back down in week 18. He's dealing with some stuff off the field. We'll see how that affects him on the field. But then we have that confusing 3, the 3 guys for the Chargers there were Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen, and Ladd McConkey. And McConkey has been a huge disappointment this year. I just don't think his ceiling is big enough to worry about picking him this week or playing him in DFS. Keenan Allen, same thing. It's just really not there. He hasn't scored more than 7 fantasy points in any game since week 7. So I'm not going there. But Quentin Johnson, all of a sudden, the last couple of weeks, has come back to life like he was in the beginning of the year, with 104 yards and a touchdown in week 16, 98 yards on 8 targets in week 17. None of them played in week 18. Allen did. But if there's one guy here, I might go with the upside of Johnston, or do you trust Diggs more?
Yeah, I do like Diggs quite a bit. I talked about it a little bit on that Monday show where you were off, Michelle, where I really like Diggs this week. He's going to get Tarheeb still, and he's been playing in the slot quite a bit, Diggs. I mean, he's kind of their guy there. That's where the Chargers give up their points. If you look all throughout their season, that's their one wide receiver weakness. Now, on the outside, they don't give up much at all. I think the Patriots are very similar here because they've got Gonzalez, who made the Pro Bowl this year. So he is an up-and-coming corner that you look at. So I think it's going to be a tougher matchup for Quentin Johnson. That's who you figure he's going to get, right, on the outside. So I think it's the middle of the field is going to be the best Chargers path here in multiple ways, not just McConkey. Allen is just not going to – he's too slow at this point to really exploit. But you should get a favorable matchup for McConkey in this one in the middle. And, again, he needed to rest a little bit. He was a little bit banged up just through the wear and tear of the season. So that's good there. And I think middle of the field is where you're going to look. Diggs, McConkey, I think you can also get a little bit out of the tight ends this one, where I think Oronde Gadsden too has been hurt and kind of just not been the same. Hunter Henry is more of a red zone guy that you look at on these teams, but I think the middle of the field is going to have to be exploited best by these quarterbacks to move the ball, and especially I think if the Chargers struggle to run, that's where they're going to have to make up for a lot of yards. And the Patriots have a lead. It's also going to help the volume of throwing to both of those guys inside. So I'm siding towards McConkey and Gadsden as the key Chargers receivers in this game.
Okay. I think I'm leaning Johnston still. I like him.
Okay.
Gadsden, I mean, it makes all sense, right? They probably need to utilize a tight end, but fewer than 35 receiving yards in 5 of the last 6 games. Like you mentioned, he's been banged up. It's just going to be hard to trust him. Henry, you need a touchdown from him. Now, do you think the Patriots will win this game? They're 3.5-point favorites. You already think they're going to win, but will they cover that?
This is the team I feel the best about this weekend. There's no doubt about it. I just don't like the Chargers going cross country on the road. They didn't really play dudes last week to tune up. They kind of needed a tune up. They look lifeless against the Broncos. I know they're playing backups, but still, the Patriots were playing for something all the way through last week, and that's going to help them with their edge and maintain that. It's Mike Vrabel. He's a really good playoff coach right now. No offense to Jim Harbaugh. We have to see it a little bit more with this Chargers team. It was pretty brutal last year with a one and done as a wild card. So I think it's going to be a very similar result here for the Chargers. I just cannot trust Justin Herbert in the playoffs. He's like the anti-Josh Allen in these type of games, or anti-Mahomes, anti-Joe Montana, anti-Tom Brady, whoever you want. He's not a clutch quarterback in these situations. And Drake Maye is going to make people start doing the Brady comparisons. It's already annoying, but Drake Maye is going to get through at least one playoff game. We'll see how it goes in the next round. But no, I cannot take Justin Herbert in a game of this magnitude in the playoffs until I see it to believe.
See, I wouldn't take a bet on it because I don't know how confident I feel, but this weird gut feeling I have, I think the Chargers beat out the Patriots in this game. I just think it'll be a close game, but they end up winning. I'm going to take the under here. I think it'd be like a 23-20 game. So I'm going to take the under, and if I had to go, I would take the Chargers plus 3.5.
Yeah, I like the over in this one. I think there is going to be some scoring, but I think a lot of it is going to be done by the Patriots in this one. Again, there's always one game where like, why did this team make the playoffs? Why were they blown out? And I think this is that game. Looking at that, I mean, I think we might see that in the Panthers game as well. But we know why the Panthers are weak, right? But the Chargers, again, I got to see more. And look, that culture hasn't totally changed where they're going to win this type of game yet. So going with the Patriots, I think their momentum and their coaching puts them over the top.
Okay, that will be it for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in today to Locked On Fantasy Football. We will be back tomorrow to get into our favorite daily fantasy plays of the week with Prize Picks and FanDuel and our favorite bets of the week. We'll get to all that. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Fantasy Football so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Fantasy Football ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonfantasyfootball.supercast.net. Sorry, not .net.com. That's lockedonfantasyfootball.supercast.com, or check the link in the show notes to join the club. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.